why you have had this, undergone this surgery in order to make these changes to become, you say, Korean?
Good morning. Thanks for having me on the show. So over the last 8 years, I've just had a fascination with Korea, and I used to live in Korea, and I just became so interested in the culture and the way Korean people looked. So I literally started doing plastic surgery, and I've now had 18 plastic surgeries in total to have the Korean K-pop idol look. And this is why I feel Korean. I've had the surgery. I love the culture. I study Korean, so I feel like I identify as a Korean now.
That's a heck of a lot of surgery. Do you mind me asking how much you've had to spend on it?
It is a lot of surgery and it's a lot of pain to go through as well.
Yeah.
But in total, it's probably around 175,000, including non-surgical procedures. So including filler, including Botox, facials and things like that.
Wow, that is a lot of money. I mean, that is serious commitment to changing how you look, as you say, like more Korean.
Right. It's been so much pain. And I only just recently, I had 3 weeks ago, I had eye surgery. So I had an eye lift and I also had a brow and a temple lift as well. So, it's a lot of pain, but it makes me happy. And, I don't feel like what I'm doing is offending people. I feel close to Korean culture. I identify with Korean culture. And, a lot of Korean people respect what I'm doing. They appreciate it. So I feel like, people should just, I don't expect people to necessarily agree with me, but I just feel like people should be respected.
Oli, what you choose to spend your money on, as long as it's entirely legal, is completely up to you. If the surgery you want to have is up to you, that is your decision. When you say you identify as Korean, do you therefore expect to be treated as Korean?
Yeah, I mean, I was
in a
just
legal
in Korea.
sense.
Yeah, I mean, that's my goal, to get a Korean citizenship officially and to become a Korean citizen. But, I was just in Koreatown in Los Angeles, speaking to people there, how they felt about me. And they were very supportive. They said I looked Korean. They were happy that I loved their culture.
Mm-hmm.
They appreciated the facts. They were very flattered by me. So my next goal now is to get the Korean citizenship, and I am working on that. And, I want to spend the rest of my life in Korea. Learning Korean and being with Korean people, it just makes me happy, and it's just how I identify.
And that's superb. But again, I just come back to the question of whether in your identification of yourself as Korean and all the surgery that you've had to make yourself look, as you suggest, more Korean, do you expect people to treat you before you have the legal citizenship as a Korean citizen because that's how you identify?
Absolutely. I mean, the last few years I've been doing K-pop music. Everyone that follows me on social media, they know how much I love Korea. They know I identify as Korean. So, I feel like people can accept me. I know it's a new concept for people, but I feel like, I live my life as a Korean anyway, so people can accept me for who I am, even though I don't have the citizenship just yet.
And people that absolutely can, but I think there is a difference, isn't there, between having, as you say, the legal status of being a Korean citizen, which is something that you are going to apply for, and saying that you ought to be treated as a legal Korean or British or whatever citizen, saying you ought to be treated that way because you look that way. You can see how the latter can't happen, right?
Yeah, of course, I totally understand that. But I feel like, it's not just about looks, it's the culture. I've been studying the culture, I've been studying the history, I have Korean lessons. I know so much about Korea, and my whole life revolves around Korea. So, of course, I don't have the legal paperwork, but, every Korean person I know accepts me as a Korean. They feel like I am Korean as well. So, of course, I don't have the legal paperwork. I get that. But, this is how I feel. And the Korean people have already accepted me for who I am. And they love the fact that I'm so fascinated by their culture.